enclosure for, I started by, I bought everything ready, with the content for really like a 56,000 square foot structure. Wow. That had zip lines and wood posts. I was gonna do the same till the same price to build the building. And then, so I scaled it down from 50 to 20. Still not enough. Yeah, it's crazy. And,
they have their costs.
what?
They have their costs. Like, if you actually there doesn't matter.
Oh, there.
You gotta bring in their people. You gotta bring in their
Still,
equipment.
it's great, yeah. I was just working on the layout and let's start the project. I want to try to get it finished. I'm not happy with it.
I was listening to it, right? My daughter cried at the end of last visiting day, so I'll probably be in there just one cup. It's really, it's the worst. It's probably the worst thing ever.
I don't know who invented it.
Like worse for you, bro.
No, there's not. I mean,
It's not, yeah.
it's like you show up and it's like no matter what you do, it's not good enough. And then you leave. You're gonna cry.
So it'd be like there's 5 minutes time. You're supposed to like the whole day and everything.
Okay, maybe. Could be right.
It's such a lousy reset. So it's
Not good for kids.
what are you other kinds?
It's not all around.
It's so good for PR.
You good here? You ready? Recording?
We're live.
You're live, okay.
I guess you just gotta show
Problem
up.
going up.
Alright, I hit it over and then
So,
You
I
got it.
publish it, right?
I like that.
Okay, great. I have dope here to help out.
So you want the I don't know if those ones stories. You guys aren't in like tutorial or anything.
What?
Like people are starting new camps and they're full. Newer ones are also full.
I can do
What am I
it.
doing?
Just I mean I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know,
sure.
between
We got this. I think we'll figure it out. Dope knows what he's doing.
I messed it up pretty good. Did I end up fixing the ones that I had open correctly, or do those get fixed?
like
If
if it doesn't end up on YouTube, I don't think it ever gets up.
no. No, I had 2 weeks ago. I think 2 weeks ago I did it. I had to do a reset, and I set it, and it became Yosef Atzanis.
That they the key to that is clearing the title before you start the
I did.
beat. So I don't know if it was bad.
When you say-
I had to write the title. I wrote it down.
In the beginning, like right when you connect the cameras, in the top, it always has the previous title that you had before. So even if
Deleted
you,
it.
oh, you deleted that already.
I
So
deleted it. I wrote the new name. I clicked the save button so it closes that box, and then I launched. And somehow it reverted.
it's weird.
It worked out. I mean, because people logged in, they realized it was the live feed.
Oh,
I saw 3 people logged in.
no Jewish staff. How did that?
Individuals of the camps.
Huh?
Individuals of the camps. That's the project of the camp. Wow. I'm the project.
What's that?
The concert. Morning. You did last year. And a meeting from the trail. YouTube.
You want a coffee or something?
All right.
Not really.
If I start nodding off, I'll know.
Start nodding off.
Or if my throat starts to go.
Give me the nod.
Alright. Let me look at you in the shower or something. It feels empty.
I was gonna move up there.
Okay. Okay, here we go. We're going to start again, page 209. 209. We got halfway through, but we're going to go backwards to go forwards, which is a big yesod in life, you know? You have to go backwards before you go forwards. But the key is if you're calm, right? Sometimes it looks like we're going backwards and we get all tense and bothered. I thought I was supposed to go the other way. But the avoda is to be okay with the fact that we're going backwards to go forwards. So we're trying to see the difference between how a Baal Bitachon and a non-Baal Bitachon reacts to life in general. And in some specific areas we're going to bring out. So here on page 209, the Baal Chavos Levos is going to teach us specifically in the area of Parnasa, which I'm going to keep it to today. I'm not going to try to expand it. We're going to try to stick to the text here. And let's jump into it. V'hashlishi, the third difference. Difference between a Baal Bitachon and a non-Baal Bitachon. Ki abotech belokim v'misasek besibos lo yismach belibo alein v'lo yekavim en to elis v'lo nezik mi bilti ratzon hakel. The third difference, while a person who relies on God, someone who really has Bitachon, and he also involves himself in various means of obtaining his livelihood and other needs, he does his ishtadlus, which is totally appropriate. Right? You've done within certain understandings, it's totally appropriate, and it's a mitzvah even to go and to do your efforts to find the parnasa. He doesn't rely on them. So even though he does them, his hands are doing the avoda, his legs brought him to work, he has to do whatever he has to do, his head's in it, you have to understand what you're doing, you can't just be aloof. His heart's not relying on them, that they're going to be the savior, that this job, this parnasa, this client, this inyan, this time, that's not what's going to save me in the financial area. Nor does he expect them to either benefit him or cause him harm unless God wills it to be. So his only expectation, the expectations of Baal Bitachon is whatever God wills it to be. That's the purest of expectations. I don't expect anything. I only expect that it will go according to the way Kadosh Baruch Hu wants it to go. So if I make, great. If I don't make, that's also what he wants. Right? This itself would be amazing if we could just download this right away. And this is the Inyan Bitachon. A person who's working on the Sugya Bitachon, according to the Chavos Levos, Shaar Bitachon, slowly but surely, as he downloads the essential Yesodos, the foundations of Bitachon, and he slowly starts to work on them day by day, thinking about them, wanting, davening to Kadosh Baruch Hu to help him, really trying to sit maybe a few minutes a day, a little hisbaininess, a little thinking, a little quiet time on his work in Bitachon and how he can make things a little bit better. Slowly but surely, this will drip into a person's life, and he'll go to work with a totally different perspective. He will go to work without any expectations other than whatever Kadosh Baruch Hu wants it to be. Whatever happens during my day is exactly what Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted it to be. That's Emunah 101. And I'm okay with that. I'm happy with that. Because I trust that this is exactly what he wants. I don't know necessarily what's good for me. I think I know, but I don't really 100% ever know. Therefore, I would rather know 100% bivados with certainty that what's going to happen to me is good, and therefore I trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Because we all know that a person can expect or want or think it's good for him to have millions of dollars. That's what a normal person would say, yeah, that's good for me. I'll know what to do with it. But yet there's many people who don't know what to do with it, and they do make mistakes, and it makes them haughty, and it makes them raise up in their level of luxury, which is often a mistake. This happens all the time. Therefore, maybe you don't know. So I trust, I'm giving up my expectations. I'm still going to go do Hishtadlis. I still have to use my brain, right? This is part of Hishtadlis. I have to use my brain to ascertain what job to go to, but it's only with the belief and the trust that a Kadosh Baruch Hu decides what's ultimately good. What are the results?
All results are up to Kadosh Baruch Hu, not up to me. We've learned this. Now the big Indian here that we were discussing last week, and we're going to continue now, is that we have to come to purify our reliance. Because if we don't understand our motivations, if we don't go deep into the recesses of our mind and our heart, we often rely on multiple things at the same time. We rely on Kadosh Baruch Hu. Every Jew relies on a Kadosh Baruch Hu to some degree, for sure. Some more, some less. You're working on it more, yes, more. But everybody relies on him. But you also rely, as we said, on the stock market. You also rely on clients. You also rely on the doctor. You also rely on the psychologist. We rely on a lot of things. Like we had your bets. Whichever one works out, it's good. But that's not the mahalach, according to the Chovos HaLevavos. Dveikis has to be pure. Real bitachon. We'll get to Dveikis in a second. Real bitachon, true reliance, can only be one. Can only be one. To have that, to live in a life of trustful, or trust fall forward, depending on which way you're living, right? Going back a few weeks. Yes? Okay. Everybody who's here, right? Are we living passively? Are we living standing up? Are we living forward? So, bitachon is many madrigas, and we want to live in a way where we're falling forwards, with trust that a Kadosh Baruch Hu is always going to be there to catch us in whatever he decides. Sometimes we will fall flat on our face. We might fall flat on our face. But we believe, no, that was good for me though. Maybe it was good that I didn't get that. I thought it was good, but maybe I made a mistake. Maybe this was better that I didn't. So what happens? You get back up. Shivli po tzadik v'kam. The tzadik, the Baal Bitachon, he gets back up because he doesn't fall and say, oh my gosh, I'm such a loser, I can't believe this happened to me. The Baal Bitachon says, I tried, I thought this was good. Obviously it's not what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. He gets back up, he tries again. He doesn't get lost in a pool of depression and selfishness and atzvus. That's all non-bitachon stuff. So a person's living, we want to try to get him to be in this place. And it takes time, it takes effort, it takes, his boinenness, thinking and trying and falling and getting back up again, to only trust in one, only Kadosh Baruch Hu. Even though we do hishtadlus, we go to work, we go to the doctor, we go to the psychologist, we go to the shul, we go to these places, we do our hishtadlus, but at the end of the day, our reliance on the results is only on Kadosh Baruch Hu. This job might help get to the results that a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. This doctor might help get me to the results, might get me to the place that a Kadosh Baruch Hu can finish off the results in the way that I would like. But at the end of the day, all results, all effect, is only on a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, I rely only on him.
Didn't you mention partnership once?
Partnership is when we do our hishtadlus, but the results are up to Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's our partnership with him. We have to do everything we possibly could do in this situation without going crazy, because if you start going crazy, that's already too much, hishtadlus. We have to do our hishtadlus according to what we believe that a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants us to do, but he's the one who, he's the finishes the game. He's the finisher, he's the closer. You're pitching, right? You have the beginning guys and you have the closers. Each one has their job. You got to get the closer to the end, but he, at the end of the day, is the one who closes it out.
Yeah, but you have to have the ton before it's closed. Once it's closed, you can always say that. But the question is usually as it's happening, not when it's closed.
Bitachon is the ability to stay calm while doing your hishtadlus, disconnecting from all expected results. Although we set our hishtadlus in a way that the result will be somewhat normal, what we believe, right? We can't just say, I'm going to go to work for 30 minutes a day, and I'll make millions. It's okay. That doesn't compute properly in the world of hishtadlus. But we do everything we can do, and then our partner, Kadosh Baruch Hu, who's the majority, he's got 51%. At the end of the day, he could always overrule what we do. We have 49, he has 51. So sometimes he looks like he listens to us. We put our efforts in, and he says, yeah, we'll finish it off that way. But anytime he wants, he can overrule us. Now, with this trust, as we were connecting a little bit to the spheres, again, a little bit of a deeper Indian, we were discussing the past few weeks, we discussed Malchus, to surrender, and Hod, to thank a Kadosh Baruch Hu for all events in life. That was, right, Hod. And then we went into the 2 weeks ago was Netzach, to proactively live every moment that a Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who set up this event, and therefore I go in proactively with confidence. However it comes out, it's up to him, but I go in knowing that he's the one who sets it up. So now we're getting into the Indian of Teferis, which is Devekis. The pasuk says, Al ken ya'azov ish es aviv es imo, v'dovak b'ishto. Right? This is the major pasuk of marriage. that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, it's not clear exactly who says it, but the Torah says, after Adam and Chava get married, therefore, man should leave his parents, his mother and father, and cleave to his wife. We're not going to get into that whole sugya right now, but what it means, my understanding is when it says Al ken yazov ish es aviv ve'es imo, it means that when a husband and a wife come together, it has to be dvekis, davuk ishta. It has to be pure. A person can have friends, and he has family, and he has a job, and he has a shul, and he has a rov, but there's only one thing in the Torah, there's two things, that says dvekis by. It only says dvekis by HaKadosh Baruch Hu and a wife. It does not say dvekis by children. It does not say dvekis by your family. I don't think so. It doesn't say dvekis even, well, to your Rebbe maybe. It doesn't say dvekis to your job, even though you might work at your job many more hours than you see your kids. The dvekis is set for a person's wife and a Kadosh Baruch Hu. What dvekis means, it's one and one makes two. There's nothing else. I could still, with my hashtadlus, deal with other people. I might love other people. I might speak to them. I might think about them. But I'm only dovuk to one. When it comes to trust, when it comes to bitachon, when it comes to reliance, and we already learned this. I said this to you last week. We were on page 107. One of the original foundational introductions, conditions, to even be in the game of bitachon. Bitachon defined as being able to live a calm, healthy, happy life, trusting that HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs everything. The only way you could do that, number 3, the person's trust should be solely in God and no one else in addition to God. So you might be working 12 hours a day. You might be putting your kishkas into it, your mind, you're focused, you're working hard. But if you want to live a life of bitachon and to be able to stay calm through and through, whether you make or whether you lose, you can't have any reliance on this job as being that which brings you parnasa. That's what he's saying. If we can get there. You can only rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the results. If the job demands for you 12 hours a day and that's just what you have to do, it's hishtadlus. But it doesn't mean there's any expectations of anything, really. The only expectation we can have if we want to live a life of bitachon, a life of calmness, a life of simcha, even in the face of adversity, is if I trust, I rely only on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the only expectation to have. What he wants is going to happen. Right? That's what he's saying. Now, to get to that place, let's go to the next paragraph.
You need a Rebbe, though. You can't just rely on yourself.
So a Rebbe, yes, a Rebbe, v'dovak, the pasuk says, ubo sidbak, to cleave to him, which was, the pasuk pshat on the pasuk is referring to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Chazal do say, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is an eish ochla, meaning not everybody can connect directly, it takes time to get to that madrega, you can cleave to a Rebbe. That's how it is. And that would be, you have to be careful though, because you have to make sure that the Rebbe is a messenger of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that the Rebbe is not HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Right? Because the goal of the Rebbe is to get you to that place of Dveikus to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But yes, you can have a Rebbe, and you should have a Rebbe, because we do need guidance. We all can't just jump in madrigas and close our eyes and HaKadosh Baruch Hu Davik to you, and it's going to be okay. We need to grow, slowly but surely. But at a certain point, after the person has a Rebbe, he does need to take the training wheels off. He might always have training wheels in certain situations, you understand? For the most part, you can't ask your Rebbe every single question every single second. You have to think on your own. You have to be strong enough. Right? The kids can't rely on the parents all the time, slowly but surely. As the kid grows older, they start to do things on their own, and eventually they go on and they start their own life. And then they're mashpia to their own children, right? But next, look at this. This is very, very important. In the world of Parnasa for sure, everything else, but we're going to deal with Parnasa today. Ach, he says, page 209. Ach misasik b'hen livchor b'avodas haborei asher tziva lisasik b'olam liyashva u'lezayin. To be able to truly have this bitachon, no matter what happens during your day, during your parnasa, you'll be able to be calm, trusting that Kadosh Baruch Hu knows exactly what he's doing, and he's doing it, and it's going to be okay in whatever way he deems. You need this. This is very important. The only reason he, the Baal Bitachon, this person who's working on himself, involves himself in them, the only reason why a person goes to Hishtadlus, to do work, to go to parnasa. So if you ask a person, why are you getting a job? Got to make money. Now we learned very clearly in Perek Gimel that is never the reason ultimately why a person gets a job. The reason is, the only reason he involved himself in them, in Hishtadlus and Parnasa, is his choice, his bechira, to carry out the service of the Creator. Why do you get a job? Because Kadosh Baruch Hu wants you to have a job. This is the antithesis of a lot of other shittas, things that you may have learned before, and we keep trying to mechazek. We were doing it a long time ago. According to the Chovos Levavos, it is a mitzvah, it is a command from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it is beneficial, it is the appropriate thing for most people to go get a job. For most people. There's a select few that don't need to, and you explain the conditions of that. I'm not going to go back into that now. But for the vast majority of Jewish people, they should be going to get a job, not because you need to support your family, because that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to do. It's Avodas Hashem. Through that act of Avodas Hashem, by going to the job, you will be able to make a parnasa and support your family. That's not the reason. This is where it gets very, very fine in the motivations of a person. And life really, a person's reaction to life really lives in his motivations, not in what you do. As we said last week, and we've said it many times, we're going to continue to say it. You can do with your hands. You could think with your head, but your heart is really what makes the man. So you could say all day long, yeah, I trust in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you could be working with your hand, but I have to make a parnasa. I'm going to go to work, right? That's what Hashem wants. So he goes to work, he uses his hands, he uses his legs, he uses his head, but he's so nervous inside every day. What am I going to make? Am I not going to make? What's going to be? This bill, that bill. So he could say he trusts, which is a good thing, but the Maisi he's not trusting. Or he could still work on it. Because where your heart is, that's really the litmus test. That's the defining factor of who you really are. And as we discussed, maybe it was last week, a few weeks ago, that we're not in touch with our head, with our heart so much. We're mostly in touch with what our head's thinking and our hands are doing. We're not so in touch with it. It's very important to be able to truly know who you are, where you are, what your motivation is to be in. Because you could trick yourself all day long. I'm a big habitachon. And you can go to work, but when push comes to shove, when a situation happens that you didn't expect, you didn't like, it's not the way you wanted it to be, then let's see how you act. If you act calm, you're a habitachon. If you don't, you have what to work on. Nothing bad. But we can't trick ourselves, because if a person thinks and says, I'm habitachon, when he's really not, then he'll never really work on it. Simple as that. He'll just never work on it. We want to be honest with ourselves. We want to be humble. That we need to work on things, and there's nothing wrong. Just like it's a mitzvah to go to work, it's a mitzvah to work on avodas that we need to work on. There's nothing bad. There's no curse. You're not a bad person. You're not going to go to Gehenna. You're not a loser. Everybody's got chesronos. Everybody has to work on whatever they have to work on. Abraham had what he had to work on. Kadosh Baruch Hu decided. Moshe Rabbeinu what he had to work on. And I have to work on what I have to work on. What's the difference? What's the difference? There's no difference. So the only reason he involves himself in the hishtadlus, the parnasa, is his choice. It's my active bechira to serve a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's where I'm going. Who instructed him to involve himself in the world to settle and correct it? HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Adam Rishon, La'avdu l'shamra. He went in Gan Eden, La'avdu l'shamra. Now Chazal, of course, say it means Torah and mitzvahs.
Say that again, La'avdu l'shamra, what's that?
To work and to guard. The garden, Gan Eden. So Chazal say, in their understanding, and it's a drush, and it's true, Torah and mitzvahs. But Adam, the Pashup Pshat means take a hoe, get some seeds, get the hose, or even davening for the rain, as Chazal tells he daven for the rain. That's also an act of ishtadlus. Right? Davening could also be ishtadlus. Whether it rains or not, Adam has to trust the Kadosh Baruch Hu. But Adam Rishon worked at Gan Eden. He goes to work. He does a parnasa. There's nothing wrong. Adarabah. The biggest Ovdei Hashem you can prove, and this is a little bit from the Maimer of Maim Rabim, of the Baal Tanya. Those who know, those who don't, end parentheses. But in some ways, a person who goes to work is at a higher madrig than the person who doesn't go to work. Because he has to be tested, and he has to fight, and he has to prove his emunah and his bitachon and his midus, and he's tested in many more areas than a person who's not going to work. True? Right? So there's nothing other about it. It's a big thing. So he's going because he's a messenger. We use this a lot. He's a messenger of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why I'm doing Ishtadlus. Which Ishtadlus do you choose? We learned, Chavos Vavos said clearly. I'm just chazing over everything. What are your netiyas? What did HaKadosh Baruch Hu implant within you? Both your physical makeup, your mental makeup, your emotional makeup. A small little guy shouldn't be, maybe a small weak person shouldn't be doing construction, for example. I mean, right? A person who's a math head, straight math head, probably shouldn't go into social work. And a person who has a social working type head probably shouldn't do accounting. You have to play according to your strengths, what a Kadosh Baruch Hu gave to you. That also takes das atzmach. You have to know yourself. You have to learn about yourself. Not just about which job makes the most money. We discussed this, right? I want to live in this community with this size house. With this, okay, so that costs $5 million. So therefore, I need to find which job is going to fit all my wants. You're living backwards. And if every single second you're not able to make the money, you're not able to get exactly what you want, now you're just upset. Whereas if I figure out who I am, what does a Kadosh Baruch Hu want from me, and maybe he doesn't, maybe he wants me to have a simple house. Maybe he wants me to have a simple car. So if I buy into that life, you're now buying into potential calmness and happiness. But if you buy into someone else's life that wasn't what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants from you, you might be just running in a rat race, just running, chasing your tail your whole life. True?
How are you certain of that unless you attempt it? How are you certain that?
Listen, you can't be certain of everything, but this is where bitachon comes in. Bitachon is that you have to do your shtadlus, whatever it is, even finding a job, which is knowing yourself, right? Speaking these things out. It could be we're already well past that. We could change things, but a young person, he has to figure out who he is, what's good for him, and then he has to try. He has to try whatever that means. But you have to have bitachon even in the trying. And sometimes it seems to be this is what a Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. And sometimes maybe it wasn't. Maybe I made a mistake. And maybe I go back to the drawing board. We'll see on the other side of the page. When business doesn't work out. Right? What happens when a person he worked through the system of bitachon and he gets a job and now the thing runs dry? Now what? So we're going to discuss that on the second page. I'm sorry I'm taking so long to get there. But we'll get there. We're going to get there. But everything in life takes hishtadlus and bitachon. Right? Even not just the job itself, which everybody looks at. That's all people look at in bitachon. The actual job, and then which is the shtadlus, and then the bitachon. What about getting to the job? What about just today's avodah? There's so many nuances or worlds within worlds of or miniature hishtadlus and bitachon areas within the larger scheme.
Where would goal setting fit?
Goal setting?
Yeah, goal setting.
Goal setting depending on what your motivation is. So if your motivation is, I'm setting goals so I can make $5 million, so I can be the boss, so that's a dangerous proposition in bitachon.
You have certain goals that you want to live in a certain community because
So you have to know, and you have to think deeply, where is this motivation coming from? First, because if it's not God-centric, you're getting into a dangerous situation of expectations. Goal setting could become selfish expectations and not healthy, God-centric, I want to do the Ratzon Hashem.
So what you're saying is if your goal setting, you want to live in a certain community because it would be better for your Yiddishkeit and your Ruchnius.
You think that. You think that.
You hope, right?
You hope. But again, you think that, and it could be an expectation. For certain, if a person's living out in nowhere by himself and he wants to live in a normal community, so maybe he can have a little bit higher expectations. But if you're living in one Jewish community and it might be really small, and you think, no, maybe better to go to the bigger one. There's more, schools and there's restaurants, so it seems to be it's a better place. Lav dafka. So you still can have these goals, these hopes, these wants, but make sure you do it with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Bring him in the picture, right? And then you could have everything. You have a cake and eat it too. Because if it works out, that's what Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. And if it doesn't work out, that's what Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. But when we don't put him in the picture, that's about what I think, what I want, and it doesn't work out, so then we get all bothered. And then we have to start working on it. We have to start bringing Amunah back into the picture. Okay, fine, I trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It didn't go the way I want, right? Amunah and bitachon are not SOS emergency madrigas that we just pick up when danger strikes or it doesn't go my way. Now I have to say to Hillel and I have to work on. It's supposed to be there from step one. That's the point of this paragraph. It's that the only reason I went to Hishtadlus in the first place is because I was doing with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. This is what He wants from me. How do I know it's what He wants from me? I look inside myself. I didn't create myself, so I'm big. Kadosh Baruch Hu made me big, so He made me smart. He made me this. He made me that. Right? This is not a 10-year-old thinking about this. It's already 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You could already think. you think about where you are, honestly, which is difficult. You might need a Rebbe for that. You might need a guide to help you with that. You need a guide.
You can't just let somebody go on their own.
No?
No?
Yeah.
They said, Rabbi Mills says, man, make sure the man has a Rebbe, so if he goes off, whatever,
Yeah.
you have somebody to talk to.
It's true. It definitely is a help to have a Rebbe who's going to help guide you to yourself.
Too close to ourselves.
We want to make sure that a Rebbe helps guide you to yourself. That's really what it is. Not guide you like a parent. Sometimes parents want to guide the kids to what the parents want. Right? That's a problem. The parents are supposed to guide the kids to who they're supposed to be within safe, obviously. Not what the kid wants, like he should just get a Lamborghini. Obviously not. What the kid wants, which is healthy and appropriate, maybe he just doesn't know that. Larger sugya than for right now. Al Kopanim. So we need to proactively live life with feeling like we're shluchim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we're messengers to settle this world. Therefore, we have to do some kind of parnasa to help this world continue going. Teacher, doctor, accountant, lawyer, even real estate. These are things that help the world continue to grow. And I have to see that this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants me. I have people skills, I have this skill, whatever it may be. When you have that, when you're living that way, now you're shaykh to the higher levels of bitachon when you're referring to finances. But if you just got a job because it has to make a certain amount of money, then it's going to be more difficult. I'm not saying impossible, but it's certainly going to be more difficult to rely on a Kadosh Baruch Hu when things are not going well. When things are going well, whether you rely on him or not, it doesn't matter. Things are going well. That's not usually when you get tested. That's when things don't go well. Right? So we want to try to live our lives bitachon first, not bitachon as a b'di'evid backup situation when things don't go well. I'll try to, right? That's not how bitachon works. Let's keep going for a minute, or for a few. Page 209, last paragraph. Now listen to this. V'im tagi'ehu to'eles o yidache behen hanezek yoda lakim levado al zeh. V'lo Yosef ben Ahav v'chiba yisera v'lo sanuch nafsho alein yoser ach page 210 yechzak b'tchonu v'lokim yismach li balav mi baladai sivas. If you're a person, the Baal Bitachon, who only relies on a Kadosh Baruch Hu, right? That was paragraph 1. And you're the person who has tried to, in your parnasa, live and choose the parnasa, or even if you didn't do it 10 years ago, you're trying now to bring a Kadosh Baruch Hu in, say, Kadosh Baruch Hu, this is what you want me to do, even though I didn't think about this 20 years ago, but I'm trying to work on my bitachon now. I can't just jump ship in my job and get something else. I can't do that. So I'm trying to, Kadosh Baruch Hu, this is what you want me to do. I'm using my skills, but I really want it to be about you, and I'm serving you and you're a messenger in this world. It's not really about the money. If you're able to get to Samadrega in those ideas I just mentioned, then this will be how you look at results. If he benefits from the means that he engaged in, so the money's coming in, whatever job you're doing, the money's coming in, or they protect him from harm maybe from anxiety, from worry, right? Person's very worried. Money comes in and it helps him. Even though, okay, we'll get back to that in a minute. Then, if he's done everything appropriate, he will thank God alone for it. The true thanks he has will be to the true one he relied upon. Parenthetically, you can thank a client. You are able to thank the people that helped you get that money, but knowing in your heart it wasn't them. You're just doing that because they are messengers, and it's appropriate. It's proper etiquette, it's proper midos. But really, who do I really thank? Who do I want to, who's my heart? Where's the hakaras atov? Only Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu. So you'll know if you start sending the client like just bouquets and chocolates and you're getting them box seats and you're just giving them everything, you're thanking them, wow, you're amazing. And a Kadosh Baruch Hu said, thank you, Hashem. Then you know where your heart really is. It's not really with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's with you really relying on those clients, and therefore you're thanking them. But if a person is able to say, okay, wow, this is amazing, Kadosh Baruch Hu, thank you for giving me this money. Right away, I'm giving 10% of this money to tzedakah, and 20%, whatever you're doing, or you thank him, you say something to him, you do something, you feel it in your heart. It doesn't have to be you actually give money, but you really feel it in your heart. And you also say, thank you, thank you, thank you. And it could be you send some chocolates. Because that's the appropriate thing to do, not because you rely on this on this guy, and not because you're going to try to buy his next business, because you're thankful that he was part of the situation, but really your heart's with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Now you're habitachon. Now you're habitachon. And it says right there. So then he will thank God alone for it. He will not increase his love and affection for them. The hishtadlus. Right? Wherever your devekis is, whatever you're connected to, truly, whatever you rely on, which is the teferis, then your yesod, your hiskashas, what are you connected to? What are you going to be thinking about in your head? What are you going to love more? It's right. Whatever you're going to love more, what are you connected to is dependent on what you really relied on. So if you relied on the work and you make money, this gevalt, I love this. I'm going to double down. I'm going to reinvest my dividends. I'm going to even work harder. What more hours into the job? I see, look at this gevalt. But a person who relies only on Kadosh Baruch Hu and sees that the money coming in is from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and he truly thanks and is connected to a Kadosh Baruch Hu, so he says, you know what? I'm going to put an extra 20 minutes in a day so I can learn, so I can daven. Because anyway, it's coming from a Kadosh Baruch Hu. And what would he want me to do right now? Right? My benefactor, Kadosh Baruch Hu. He's giving me something. My parents give me something. What do my parents want me to do right now? They want me to turn away from them. And so I call my parents once a week. And my parents sent me a nice gift for Hanukkah. Right? They give me a nice gift. So what do my parents want? That I should say, thank you so much, but I have to use that money and I am going to call you now once every 2 weeks because I'm so busy with the gift you gave me? Well, you know what? Maybe for the next while I should call you twice a week. What do my parents want? We all know the answer. So Kadosh Baruch is no different. No? Right? Kadosh Baruch wants to have dvekas with us like we wish to have dvekas with him. So if he's giving us and we believe that truly, we're going to use that and to turn in towards him, not turn away from him. If you ever find yourself turning away from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, you should just have your antennas up. Whoa, what are my true motivations? Where is it really coming from? Again, I'm only speaking to people here who are really working on bitachon, who really want. People who are not here, it's a different way. It's not shaykh by them. People who really want have to really think about what are they pulled towards? What are they connected to? Where is your ahava? Ahava is a result. Ahava is a big sugya. But the ahava I have towards things are very often towards, if I receive, therefore I love. That's a classic mahalach of ahava. If someone's loving me, I often will love them back. So if I'm receiving money from a job, if I think it's the job giving me the money and the people and the boss and the clients and the whoever and the secretary, whoever's helping me out, then I will love them more. And Kadosh Baruch Hu will say the same. But if I see that everything coming in is ultimately from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, then if I'm feeling the love from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, then I'm going to love him back even more. Yes? This is what we want to get to.
Whether he's giving you a big paycheck or a small paycheck
or
no paycheck.
What is that?
You have to love Hashem
Correct.
more, no matter how much he gives you or doesn't give you.
100%. And that's ultimately bitachon. But it's possible that we're human beings. And the more that we rely on a Kadosh Baruch Hu, we use our bitachon, and we see the world the way it's supposed to be, we can come to higher levels of a karas tov and ahava for Kadosh Baruch Hu. Ultimately getting to the highest place where it doesn't matter. I love a Kadosh Baruch Hu whether he gives me or he doesn't give me, because I see the whole thing is from him. But we're building up to that. And he says,
everybody says Baruch Hashem when the big check.
Are they saying Baruch Hashem with their mouth or their heart?
Either one. When you get shefa, everybody says, "Oh, Baruch Hashem."
But that's
the
not real.
The question is, how do you do when it doesn't work? Do you say Baruch Hashem? It wasn't supposed to work. That's the test.
Exactly. That's what we're learning. So what happens, again, if he benefits from them, the means that he's engaged in, or they protect him from harm, then he will thank God alone for it. He will not increase his love and affection for them, nor will his mind be more at rest because of them. My menucha is not coming because, Baruch Hashem, I have more money in the bank. Because then his calmness is coming from the money in the bank. That's not what we want. Rather, he will strengthen his trust in God and rely on him alone and not at all on the means. That's what we want to get to. We want to get to the place where I told you a Maisa once of a person in the larger Chabura that we're learning together. There's many people who are learning with you. You just don't know them because they're watching, they're listening, they're hearing, and I get emails sometimes and stories. And there was a person who told me the story, I told you this once, that he had a difficult week in Parnasa. He did not do well. And he's a person who watches weekly, which not necessarily the best thing to do, but for whatever reason he needed to. At the end of the week, he did not make what he had expected to make. And he was sitting and he caught himself. And he started to think, because he was thinking about the money he didn't make. He's like, you know what? He was thinking about Kadosh Baruch Hu. I know, I believe, I'm learning, I'm working on this, that you're the same one who gives me or doesn't give me. And the reason why you give me or don't give me is ultimately so I come closer to you, to connect to you. That's the ultimate reason of everything, really. And he says, you know what? The fact that you didn't give me, and now I'm sitting here getting closer to you, is the most amazing thing in the world, because our connection is not dependent on making money or something. Right? It's not an ahavasha tuluya b'davar. A love that's dependent on something is good, but it's low level, it's weak. Because when ahava is dependent on something, so it's not really ahava, it's really I love my, right? If I love my job because it makes me a lot of money, so it's not that I love the job, I love money. Right? I have two loves. I have the job and I really love the money. But if I go to a job and every single day I'm not making money, and it's okay, whatever, my family's okay, everything's okay. But yet I'm still coming because I truly love the job and I'm not making the money. Now you see that's a havash enel tibadavar. It's a pure love, much, much deeper. It's not dependent on anything. Therefore, it can't go up or it can't go down. That's what we want to get to with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Our connection with Him is not about whether I get this, I get that. It's supposed to be pure. We have to work through it. So this person, when he was sitting there and he came to this, he said he was filled with mamish and ecstasy a simcha that he's never felt before. Davka on the week he didn't make money. Because at that point he really hit an ahava she'eino tzlei b'davar. He really got to that madrega. And specifically because he's working on habitachon and he didn't make. So what some people outside of the world habitachon would see, like, oh my gosh, how are you going to make it? What's going to be? How are you going to put chicken on your table? What's going to be with the bar mitzvah? What's going to be with this? What's going to be that? And they go crazy. He was sitting there in his car and he was just living in ecstasy. Which way do you want to live? It's an accomplishment that can be done if a person's working on it. You have to be working on it. It's all here. He says this is what can happen. You have to do it. I've spoken to many people. They're doing the work and it's working. It doesn't mean you have to get to that madrega. That's where he's holding. The very simple fact that a person can go to work and not make money that week or something didn't go well and he can not get upset for an hour. He only got upset for 30 minutes because of his bitachon. It's a win. It's a huge win. You went from an hour to a half hour because you calmed yourself down, trusting Kadosh Baruch Hu. You just saved a half hour of your life. And that can go from 30 to 20, 20 to 10, 10 to 5 to no problem. But if you're just going to expect that it's going to go to zero and you're bothered for an hour, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm this bothering me again. So you're just going to stay in that same hour for the rest of your life. We have to keep moving where we're going and keep paying attention, not demanding of ourselves, but paying attention to where we're holding and put down in your mind those little wins, because little wins really do add up.
I ask you a very serious question.
Should we do it afterwards? Let's do it afterwards.
It
Hold
has
it.
to do with
It's
this.
fine. Maybe.
Maybe. If it doesn't,
It's
skip
fine.
it.
It's fine.
At the end of the week, the man says, Baruch Hashem, I didn't make so much this week, or I didn't make anything, or I lost money, whatever. But man, I get it now. And, I'm closer to Hashem. He's calm. Then he calls up his wife.
You don't sound like a person so calm, but yeah.
No. Because now I'm getting to the problem.
Yeah.
The problem isn't in general for a man.
Let me tell you what the problem is. Yeah.
He's saying ecstasy doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah, I'm saying a man is it's
Yeah, we're not
easier
saying
for a
that.
man than for a woman or for reality. A man says, I tried this thing. It's such a geschmack. Didn't work. I lost money. What a geschmack. I gave it a
good.
try. Hashem didn't want it to work.
Yeah.
But that doesn't hold water to the wife.
Okay.
So
you
it's
wanna know how
not
to deal with
such a
her?
big test.
Just figured this out.
It's not So I'm saying the
Well, what's your
test,
question?
the nisayon is not the end of your week to come to this Devekas Hashem. That's okay.
That's what
God,
you
we worked on this together.
So you want to talk about Shalom Bayis?
I'm
It's your Shalom Bayis
I'm
class.
saying the difficult part is,
Yeah.
but you didn't make money, Tzaddik. I'm glad you're calm, Mr. Tzaddik.
Yeah.
But, I got this, I got this.
I don't understand
got that.
where's the question
Well, have
here?
faith in Hashem. No, I'm saying that Nisayan is not to come to a level of at the end of the week say, oh, Baruch Hashem, I tried things, didn't work, Chasei Hashem, but didn't make money. Okay. But that's not an accomplishment. Because the real test is, are you making money? Are you not making money? Are you having faith?
Hold on a minute. I think what he's saying is that you can work on yourself and you could come to your place of the Vegas.
I noticed, yeah.
But then you have to go to the other.
Okay,
in
so
life,
so
and you have to relate.
so you have
to
a question.
And they don't understand the Vegas as compensation.
I understand.
They
I've just believe me, I've had this conversation with him many times.
Yesterday.
And there's nothing wrong.
No, I'm saying that's the question. For me to come
We're
to
having-
I was just making.
We're working right now
Just to get
in the
myself-
Vegas in bitachon. We're working on bitachon between us and the Kodesh Baruch Hu. That's on our heart. Then it's another inyan, and we've discussed it before. We'll discuss it again. How do you then deal? How do you live bitachon with a person who's living with you who does not have the same bitachon? How, when you're so calm about the finances and she's not, you're truly fine. Not you're faking it.
Right.
That's a different story. If you really have bitachon,
Right.
how do you deal with the person who's not bitachon?
Right.
So what's the answer? I told you last week already. You
Maybe you
can't.
tell me
You
20
can't
times.
take this book that you've been working on for months, maybe years, and say to your wife, "Can I just like stick this into your head?" That's not going to work. Took you months and years. But when you're looking at her and you're dealing with her, or if there's women listening, dealing with your husbands, because there are many women who are even higher levels of women be talking to their husbands, and they're freaking out, and she's very calm. So what do you do with that? This is the world called Tikkun Amidas. It's really a bigger world, and it also needs to be talking to stay calm. It's called Rachmanas. You have to have compassion for your wife. What does that mean? So you want to go on another year and a half? We can do that also. But you have to have compassion for her. She's not in your place. She's bothered. There's nothing wrong with her.
No, sometimes
him.
she's right.
Oh, so good, Abraham.
I'm just saying. Very
So
often a woman is more practical.
I see the problem.
No, in the video business, for example, just a simple example. If a man is not married, he buys like all this equipment. He doesn't have a wife.
Okay.
To
All the
ground him.
detail
So I'm
situations.
saying
deal
very
with.
often the other partner
The point is-
knows better,
When you
and your faith
David.
is wrong.
there's
It's
we
a
have
wrong
part of
attitude.
bitachon A is you have to admit that we're wrong. There's a lot of midos work, real midos work, which is I think it's less learned than Kabbalah nowadays. Really, it is. It's unbelievable. Kabbalah's we'll work on that. Midas, whatever. It'll work itself out because we learn Gemara or something. It doesn't. It never has. It never will. Al Kopanim. With bitachon, if you truly trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu for the parnas and therefore I'm calm, you also will trust in the Kadosh Baruch Hu that He sent you this wife with her emotional wherewithal and where she's holding. Yes or no? So that's the first step. If you're truly a Baal Bitachon and you've really worked on it in your parnasa, which is big work and it's a lot of our life, you need. And how did you get there? Through the 7 Yesodos, through the introductory, all the inyanim that you've worked on. Now you need to take that and you need to take all that whole world and now use it also with your wife. That's the first step. If you don't do that step, then you're not in our world. Because we're talking about bitachon now. Everything in life can be worked on through bitachon, but you need to have the right goggles on. If you have the goggles on, we can turn from right to left and we can deal with different situations. That's the first step, because again, we always need to stay calm, sof. Once you get into SOS mode, you make a lot of mistakes. Yes or no? Yes. This is where we have to be humble and admit. We make a lot of mistakes when we get emotional, and the heart hijacks the mind, because then you're speaking from emotion, not from head. Bitachon allows the head to rule over the heart. So when we're dealing with other people, especially the people that are closest to us, where it is the most difficult in our emotional wherewithal, because there's a lot of baggage, there's a lot of stuff, and lots of expectations, all that can be worked on with bitachon, because first and foremost, you have to stay calm. From that place of calm and non-judgment, so if Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who's running everything, and Kadosh Baruch Hu is the one who sent worry into her heart, I don't need to judge her. That's where everything goes down the drain once you start judging people. Once you don't judge, now, and you're calm, now you can be compassionate for that person. That's really all you need. if you can be compassionate for the next person and you could just hear them out without judging, without reacting, without responding, without saying, why don't you just work on this? Then most times things will calm down and you'll come out the winner. It's that simple, yet you need to have worked on that avoda. Whether bitachon, or even if you're not working on bitachon, you can come to it from a place called tikkun amidus. However, when you have bitachon at the forefront of your life, everything comes much easier. You have a tremendous tool that can be used in all situations. Okay, so we didn't get to where I wanted to get to, because again, as I always say, it's not up to us, that's what Kadosh Baruch Hu. But we went a little further. But we went much, much deeper.
We're up to budget, no?
We're still halfway through the budget? Yeah, right. We're halfway through this third difference. It's good. I knew it was going to take some time. We had to get in deep. We're getting in deeper. Anybody who has any questions or comments, it's kedai to think about these things. It's a whole world. We'll discuss. We'll get in it deeper. This is a real working laboratory here. We're still going slow. We still have a ways to go.
And your answers move to bitachon over there. You can't just have it be yourself in the office and a week.
Rabbi,
It's
do
a
you
full-time
have,
thing in every aspect
Bitachon
of
is
your life.
everything in life. Yeah.
do you know